with Kellyscards.ca and welcome to this video. So I was asked to make a couple sympathy cards and I did a couple and I thought of a couple ideas that I could do a video for. So for this card, that is what I'm going to do now. So I've picked out some kind of gentler colors. I've got the pink here and this green. Now this is going to be a pretty simple card. I think when it comes to sympathy cards, people really like the clean and simple type cards. So I thought of an idea. What I've done here is I've made a pink card base and I've made some mats. First I've made a white one. I've made this green to pull off some green here. I've made this pink one, and then for the layer on top I have cut a couple of these pieces that will fit into here nested nicely. And I had done some samples here and I'm going to show you this here. This is a embossed piece of cardstock here and I've actually embossed it with a die, and I'm going to show you the tutorial for that. And I really like how this is going to look, and I thought that I would bring in a sentiment. So I've done a couple sentiments here and I'll pick which one I like the best. I've brought in some ribbon here or some texture here, and I thought that would look great there. And I also thought maybe I would add some flowers to it as well. So I have this one here, and I'm going to just have to be really careful that I don't cover up the words. And I have a fairly large white flower that I thought of putting in as well, and then tucking a leaf under, and that's why I have the green, so I can pull from the leaf. So first I'm going to move this all out of the way, and I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine here. For this, I've got my die machine here, and I've got this open to the tab 1 here. And now this might be different on your machine. Please try it out before you actually run it through. Do not force anything through your machine. But for me, I know this works for this number 1 tab open. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have this here, and then I'm going to put my plate down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my die now, and I want to make sure that I have this in place and that it's nice and straight. So I'm going to make sure that this is exactly where I want it, and I'm just actually going to just tape it down here so that it doesn't shift. And once I've done that, is you can put your little rubber mat, and this is basically an embossing mat. This is through Spellbinders, but I know Memory Box and probably Sizzix also sells them as well. And this is to help impress things into your paper. So I'm going to put this down, and then I'm going to put my die with my paper on top. And then lastly, for the whole sandwich to be complete, I'm going to put my other cutting plate on. For this now, I'm just going to roll this through. And I'm going to go back a second time here. I always, when I die cut, I kind of go back and forth so that it gets in there really well. And now I'm just going to pull the tape off carefully. And you can use a washi tape if you want. I find that tape isn't too bad. And now you can see this beautiful die has embossed this paper. I really like how that looks. So I have this piece here, really like this piece, and I'm going to bring everything in and we will build up this card. There's a lot of layers, so I'm going to start with this one first, and I'm just going to quickly adhere around the edge. Now this isn't quite a huge border around this piece. I have just an edge of white, which I think will look really nice once this is all put together. And I'm just going to bring this in nice and close. Like I said, this is probably like 1/8 of an inch difference between these two pieces. So it's not going to be that much of a border like a lot of my other cards are. You can see that, just that edge of white. And now I'm going to put this whole piece down onto this pink card base. And again, there's just going to be a little edge. And I think that is pretty good. Just going to bring my bone folder in here. And now I'm going to layer this part up. So I'm going to just attach this piece here. This is the piece that we embossed that die with. And I'm just going to get this matted up onto here. And before I put this on here, I really want to put this little bit of ribbon on here, and I just want to get everything placed before I actually put it down. I also have to pick a sentiment. I made a couple of them. I kind of really like this bold sentiment, but I also like the smaller one. And if I'm going to use these bigger flowers, which I would really like to use them, I feel that I would need to use, you know, an appropriate sentiment that would fit. So I kind of think that looks nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this out of the way, and I'm going to pull this over here now, and I'm just going to wrap this around and bring in my tape. This is a lot of extra, so I'm going to just cut a little bit off, and I will get this portion taped down. Again, I like using the tape because it ensures that it won't go anywhere. And I'm just going to bring this across and make sure this is nice and straight. And that's a good amount that's off on the other side. And I'm just going to push this down and make sure that is nice and straight on there. So now once I've got this on there, I'm just going to double check and make sure, yes, everything is good to go before I actually adhere it down. I think it's a really nice pocket in here for these flowers to sit, and then the leaf will have to hang a little bit lower here. So now I'm going to use the score tape because it's a little bit of a better adhesive, and I'll get this put onto the back right into those corners and right over top of our lace or ribbon. And now I can pull this off. Once I get the adhesive off, I can add this and make sure that it is as centered as it possibly can. And it's nice and straight. I'm going to use my bone folder again just to help push because there is some bulk here now because of that. So I just want to make sure it's not going to come off. And now that is on there great. I'm going to put in this sentiment here first. I'm just going to put the adhesive on the back, make sure I like where it's placed again, and then I can move it around if necessary. So I really like this little pocket here in between the sentiment and the ribbon for these flowers, and probably about there is good. So I'm just going to pull the backing off here, and I'm just going to make sure I get this placed exactly where I want it. I want to have it a little bit on the higher side so that I still have room to fit in that leaf and of course the flowers. So that looks pretty good there. Just rub that on there, and now I can get out my hot glue and attach these flowers plus this leaf. Now this leaf could go this way, which I think would probably be the most appropriate place for it, but you can move things around. I'm going to put a little bit of glue there onto this big flower. I'm just going to move this out of the way, and I'm just going to make sure that this flower is nice and centered. And again, with the hot glue, you can kind of move it around so that you can get the positioning just perfect. Again, you can just move it around because it's not completely dry. That's what's great about glue guns as well. You get a little bit of play time to get it just right. And I'm going to bring this in, and I want to make sure that this leaf doesn't stick out too much. I just want it to be down like this. So I'm going to put some more hot glue onto here, and I'm just going to use a tool here to place this, and I'm going to make sure that that's about right. And actually I think that's about perfect. If I can just pull it there, that's about perfect. And now I can use a lot more hot glue just to make sure that it isn't going anywhere, and I can place this down. And again, I have some wiggle room that I can move things. I think I want the leaf just a little bit more that way. And there, I think that looks really good. And what's really cool about this is you can see the embossed heart. I love how the embossed hearts stick out, and again, they're not too demanding on this card. They're just lightly on there, and I love this lace and these beautiful flowers. And we'll just take a look at this card here. This will complete this card. And again, it's not an overly fancy card, but I think when it comes to sympathy cards, it's nice to kind of keep it nice and simple. And again, really like the calmness of the colors, and pulling the green out and the pink out with the flower and the layers, it adds some color, but still you can see quite a calmness and a simpleness to this card. Really love this embossed die. Pretty much any die you have, you can use this technique with, and that will pretty much open up a whole bunch of things for you to do with your dies. Now you can even ink your die or emboss with your die. So I want to thank you for joining me for this Make a Card and Technique video. You can check me out on my website at Kellyscards.ca. You can subscribe for more videos, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day.